Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to day number 2 of stage 3 of the Call of Duty Challengers Elite Series. Again, we do apologize for some of the technical difficulties today. We all understand the server situation, but finally, the COD gods have blessed us, and now that means we can kick off today. So here's how the schedule is going to work quickly. We're going to move through our first series of Elevate versus 3G currently on your screen. We will be dropping the second European series of Pushing versus Orglist, but North America is still slated to appear with both matches on stream later. Until we get to that point, again, we thank you for your patience. Let's get right into the action. For Europe to kick this one off, it's going to be Ali and Fox.
I'm just so excited we finally get to cast some Call of Duty. Fox, I feel like it's just been a waiting game, and already Elevate showing why they are one of the best teams in the EU region with a hot little slow lead over 3G. As I say that, they do take a couple of seconds back as we got a scrappy hill here in P2 on Checkmate Hardpoint. Hixie with a nice 2 already in the P2 hill. As we start our rotation, you see those blue arrows. That is going to be Team 3G first into the plane, but Denza wants something to say about that as he finds the kill on the Fitz and then tries to taunt to Nile, but he does finally get shut down.
Now with a big double kill right there. Of course, the pressure around middle map, oh so important at the top of this hard point. Still just above 50 seconds remaining, but you see the kill feed all red. Hixie diving down to get into the mix. We do see Beans. Bit of a response there, of course, with him being outnumbered with Elevate being outnumbered on the point. They should be able to clear that one out. Spawns for Elevate up near where P2 was at, and this is a little bit troublesome for them as the players on 3G mount their setup around the hard point. You see Beans just sat pretty and waiting. This is exactly where you want your AR player to be in this situation.
Definitely a closer hardpoint than I expected out of Team 3G, as Beans has a hot start at 8 and 6. The rest of his teammates pretty even across the board. Bid's a little low on engagements there, but he's not exactly doing too bad as we start moving. As our next rotation, that's going to be number 6. He's going to be the first player to try to get into engagement to get that rotation for his team. He ends up getting shut down by Weeman, though, as Keza is trying to get plane control with this Krig. Is he going to catch anybody else? He unfortunately will not, as time starts to go more on the side of Elevate as they're looking to lengthen their lead.
3 players pouring in. Nile, a little tagged up after his last kill. He's hoping to come out with his life, but Kids is also there to help him out for the trade at the very least after falling. So great coordination from those 2 players right there to keep the dream alive on this point, because the pressure is not letting up. You got 2 red players just around the corner. Your trophy system support is dwindling, gone just like that, and you see they come out on top in the gun engagements. But Team 3G, with the spawns and the map positioning, they're going to win that war of attrition. Keza was able to come right back and dive back into the action instantly.
3G has done a great job of getting that early rotation and not allowing Elevate to set up, because this is one of those teams that are incredibly good on defense. So should they get that early rotation, start setting up, it would be a much harder hard point to break than 3G has seen so far. So Beans, we're going to be on board with him as he's trying to get this back plane control. Already on rotation again is going to be Nile. Elevate, they need to start focusing and committing to these rotations, as they're going to start falling behind here as we see a lead change. Number 2, though, that's going to be Weeman. He's going to shoot Nile in the back, and nobody from his teammate is close enough to help. So all of Elevate now can collapse onto the bottom side of this map and get this control of what should have been a good hold from 3G.
Beans with a double kill, opening things up in a big way for this next wave, but there's still no hill time being gained from it. As a matter of fact, Elevate are going to be able to jump right on top right there. Course being cleared out with the man advantage. Team 3G is able to capitalize on it after a little bit of a stumble. Pressure keeps coming in. They're able to keep the 3G players off of the hard point despite them having decent positioning to maintain control of it. But you also see the middle of the map is easily in favor of Elevate, right? They have all the players surrounding the plane. They have so much control that player 1 in the top part of your map is actually lurking. Found 1 kill, is in the second engagement against Beans, where he finally falls. But the distraction was supposed to amount in a break from the front of the hard point. It didn't result in that way. Team 3G is able to pull ahead as we get back to Team 1.
Thankfully, Nile and Keza slow the bleeding as they push out of Old Hill to kind of allow their teammates to finally get some mid-map control. And as soon as I say that, of course, Elevate takes them down, but at least they're not stuck in that spot hold as they were looking to almost do as a full second strong side of Elevate for 3G. I mean, they have been contesting time and time again. They're not trying to let Elevate run away with this, as it is only about maybe a 20-point lead on the side of Elevate. Bid still having a little bit of a slow start. We're used to him kind of showing off his numbers, especially on a map like Checkmate. So hopefully we see him warm up here later on as we want Elevate here to lengthen their lead.
Yeah, and if you are an Elevate fan right now, you have to be pretty happy with what you're seeing out of players like Denza and out of the likes of out of Hixie, right? Because these guys are just constantly in the mix, constantly throwing those haymakers on the objective, and they're making their presence known as submachine gun players, and that's why we see Elevate up by about 20 seconds now. However, that initial rotation additionally going to them, 3G have to make the trek across the map into their setup.
If 3G want to break into here, they need to take down Hixie, and that's exactly what Nile does on stairs, but Denza thankfully trades it out. All of this time now going on the side of Elevate. Unfortunately, 3G was very late on rotation and now have to make the trek across mid-map to try and break into this money hill on P2. Nades are out. It actually takes down Weeman. I guess there was no trophies down for the side of Elevate, and 3G can now break into this hill. The team kill comes through. Unfortunately, that's all of 3G down. One player left on his own. The trades go out, though, and this last 20 seconds should go on the side of Elevate, but now they need to worry about rotation. All the blue arrows on the mini-map are going to be trying to keep them in the spawn here and not allow them any leadway into mid-map.
Nile has gotten so many kills on this hill. It's unfortunate that Beans was going to team kill him there after his previous two, but he's been really disruptive around that point. It's a shame that Team 3G was not able to amount more time from his plays, and they still find themselves trailing by about 60 seconds. They are fighting for this initial time, but you see just how quickly the tide turns in favor of Elevate. Already in your kill feed, another multi-kill from Hixie. Denza on the objective to follow it up. We got a combined 6 streak from the guys in red right now, and Team 3G, they are reeling from this devastating blow.
Elevate looking to pass 200 points here as they are taking almost a 100-point lead on the team of 3G. Beans is 23-17, trying to do all he can for his team right now to help pull them along in this and stay in this game. But I mean, Hixie is not having it as he's sitting as 23-18. It also shuts down Pezza on his own. Number 3, Bid's going to be on rotation. He does get shut down, but not that it matters, as Elevate has plenty of time to work with to retake the site.
Hixie will not lose one-on-one engagements this map. I mean, I know this is a bit of a late call considering there's maybe 40 seconds left to it, but this he's just been nuts, and watching his perspective, you kind of see it all come together. He just knows where they're at. Of course, tagged up out in the open right there, Hixie will fall. The support of Bids just over top of him on crates as they look towards the new hard point that's in control of 3G. Kids is going to be the player taking point, breaking that 100 or getting past the 100-point mark, trying to close a deficit here as Elevate were able to pull themselves ahead by 100 seconds prior to this.
Somebody's got to shut down Nile in this plane as all of this time is going to the side of 3G. Kids finally looking to maybe heat up here as he's now 19-21. Has a little bit of a slow start at 16-23, but I mean, his teammates are doing the work as they get almost 40 seconds on that hill alone. And not only that, they are looking at hopefully an early rotation here. So Nile, again, he is still in control of this plane site, and he's helping his teammates. Oh my god, he does it with a gunfight versus Weeman. Now you got to win those close ones with a sub in hand. 5 seconds going to the side of Elevate, but now they're going to have to worry about the break into the next hill.
A well-placed Semtex, quick little handoff with that explosive to our friend Beans, forced him to end up respawning and fighting from a lot further back on that hard point, which I think was really good for 3G to get through and disrupt the hard point. However, it still needs to amount to this victory. Elevate are only separated from victory by about 30 seconds. Team 3G seems to have a bit of a second win here as they make a resurgence in the late stages of this hard point. That resurgence, though, needs to come together as a collective effort to stop Elevate and just stop the bleeding here, because this game's almost over.
Bid's definitely heating up now as he is now sitting at 19-22. I mean, Team 3G, they're starting to wake up just a little bit, but it's possibly too late as Elevate is only 20 seconds, mere 12 seconds from closing this game out 250 to around 180. So 3G, they need to start playing some perfect hard play now if they want to get back in this game.
That they do. 3G will be awarded the scrap time, but again, just 12 seconds here is all Elevate's looking for. Nile has been so devastating, so dangerous up close. So you really want him in the plane, but with him being the first to fall, and with Hixie still being alive in the point, outnumbered, he's actually going to be wallbanged. Beans and Keza, the support comes through from the remaining 3G players as they all flood into the plane, and you see the team fire working out so beautifully for them. Keza just has to keep holding down the right trigger, firing through walls and tagging them up. The team shot is what puts them over the top in this engagement. 10 seconds, though. They cannot let Elevate get 10 seconds.
Weeman needed to sit and stay alive and wait for his teammates there as he took on all 4 players of 3G that were inside of plane. And now it's all up to Elevate if they kind of dedicate just waiting for P2 to pop up and getting those 10 seconds and working on defense. Because should they not, and these 20 seconds go to side of 3G, I mean, they are all tied up. So Elevate, they need to have a perfect hold here. But I've said it and I've said it again. They are a very good defensive team. As soon as I say that, it'll be lights up red. There is a lot of work to be done on the side of 3G if they want to break this. They have 10 seconds. The moment that hill pops, there it goes. That's 2 on the side of Elevate. 2 players from 3G are the closest to get there. Are they going to be able to make it? Absolutely not, as Bids takes down 2 with the pistol. Elevate taking the first hard point in a convincing fashion.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the score is close in the end, but I think that what we saw was just stellar teamwork coming from the Elevate players, right? Of course, just throughout this map as well, it's just the SMG prowess of these guys. They just weren't being stopped. They had the best short game from start to finish, and it was an exciting hardpoint. Great first map to watch.
And I want to give some props to 3G, even though they started a little slow for sure. I mean, they started to show some life there in the end. If they came out like that in the beginning, they could have had a little bit more of a showing against Elevate than we probably would have expected. I mean, Elevate is arguably the best team in the EU region right now. So for them to at least be able to hang on that long definitely says something about that team, especially with the addition of Kids being kind of that newer player on that roster. But I mean, Elevate, they look so good. I mean, this precise decision making. There was never really a panic mode. Even when they had to give up plane control, I mean, they made the full decision. Nobody kind of branched off on their own. Nobody tried to break plane by themselves. They just all sat back and played defense on that P2 to get those last 10 seconds.
That's right. They succeeded and failed as a team, and in the end came out on top with a victory in that first map. I think that we saw a lot of what we can expect from the submachine gun players throughout this series. I think that we can expect them to dictate the pace quite a bit. Nile, even at times where the rest of his team, Nile and Beans, I should say, even at times where the team as a whole was not contributing as well as they should have, these guys were just having very explosive moments to try and reset the pace and try and get their team back into the action. Ali, do you have any kind of observations about what they were doing to find individual success in that struggle of a loss?
Well, I mean, Beans, again, he was trying to pull his team along. You see right there, he's 25 and 19. He was trying to be kind of that light at the end of the tunnel as the rest of his team kind of slowly worked their way up into the late game. But, I mean, Elevate, you just can't do that against a team like Elevate. Elevate, if anything, I mean, I would say they wouldn't typically outslay you, but they'll out-rotate and they will out-hold you. But I didn't even see that Elevate in this game. Elevate were always late on rotation. They very rarely were early into spawns and getting those over 3G. 3G was typically the first people there. It was just Elevate broke them time and time again, and I almost feel like that was a little bit of a rough game for Elevate, considering what I've seen from them and what I know them to do. So honestly, 3G, they look good, but Elevate just, I mean, even when they're not doing their 100% best, they are still looking like a phenomenal team.
That's right, that's right. So outside of this matchup, what stands out to you most about Elevate, and what can you expect to see them bring to us in Season 3?
Well, in Season 3, so Elevate, they are already such a good defensive team, especially when it comes to control, which we'll see later on in the series. But, I mean, they just, once they have a hold, they are unbreakable. Into this S&D, I'm looking at the duo of Bids and Denza. I expect them to just kind of explode going into the search and destroy. And not to mention, Hixie loves to get behind enemy lines. So 3G, if they want to do anything, they're going to have to turn for him and shut him down before they get too much into their head.
Yes, Hixie, you want someone like him who's quick on his feet and not afraid to get in your face. He did a lot of damage in the checkmate hardpoint. Let's see what he can do on Raid. Decade-old map, very popular one, three-lane style map, and we're seeing it slow down a little bit as we move from respawn game modes to search and destroy. Opening engagements are already unfolding as straight through middle map goes the Elevate roster, straight into Art to find that first blood. The 4 versus 3 man advantage is going to be huge, especially with bomb already planted at B. They have to be able to commit to this retake where Team 3G is set up. So First kills going underway. Keza sitting pretty, waiting for the rest of the crew to come through. He has to know that the next challenge is coming up shortly. That's why you see him playing his life and playing the clock a bit.
Oh, I love that play of Hixie to get behind him, but Keza snaps onto him. The call out from his teammate to get him from behind, that was a terrifying. 3G take it very quickly in our first round. I love the decisive decision making. They take over the B site, they lay the bomb down, and they instantly push up in the spawn, which we see happen a lot on rated. I mean, Keza, there's only so much you can do, and he's free firing that corner. Hixie here, though, he made the right decision. You know, he's like, I'm going to slide through this as my teammate. It's tactical. I'm going to get behind him and shoot him, but Keza gets the call out from his teammate that he's getting flanked from behind. The instant turnaround and pick. I mean, just beautiful shots out of 3G.
Yeah, and I mean, right there, we're kind of seeing the way that Raid plays so differently from previous iterations and from what we saw in Call of Duty Black Ops 2. Giving up Laundry right there was a really tough call that we saw Elevate make, but they did find the first blood in Art. It still wasn't enough, though. Team 3G was able to hold down Laundry so well because you have to challenge them with submachine guns and ARs, no snipers. Anyway, off to the start of this game, we see Elevate only losing one off the rip, and we find Kids in a 1 versus 3. Wee Man is getting that bomb down on the B site.
I mean, all the ARs just kind of duked it out in the middle there. Trades went through, and then Bids instantly snaps on a player from 3G on the B side. That opens it up completely for the rest of his teammates to get the bomb down. This should be a round going inside of Elevate, but Kids, he does have a crick in hand, and he knows Bids is here. Is he able to rip him off the head? He is not. So now he's just going to be fighting 1v3. Wee Man shuts him down, and Elevate quick to answer back to 3G's first round.
All knotted up 1-1 off the rip here, and you see Elevate sending so many players towards middle map once again. I'm curious to see just how often they end up replicating this strategy here. They end up losing someone right off the jump there, but it does result in a round win for them. So far on this map, highest kill player in the lobby is going to be Wee Man for the side of Elevate. Of course, we're looking at our offensive team now, though, and Keza is certainly one of the stronger threats on this team. Is there anyone in particular on 3G that stands out to you in Search and Destroy, Ali?
I would say Nile. Nile definitely can be annoying when it comes to Search and Destroy, but he only does well if the rest of his team is backing him up, and so far they're all looking to struggle a bit across the board, 1 and 2, him even across the board. We are on board with Beanzos. He's going to try and get another pick middle. He did not want to wide peek that like he did last time, as he got shut down very quickly from Bids. Keza, though, he might catch Wee Man through the mid. He's not able to get any shots in.
And so here we have Elevate in the same position that we saw in the first round. They gave up the B site. Not just that, they completely gave up control of Laundry. And so it's really tough to have to turn that corner. You got Beans down range, who's able to sit pretty and just fire shots from downtown. But Denza coming through, picking up big double kills like that. He's still only got 14 seconds to work with. The hero play might not amount to much, as you see he is taken down. Keza with the AR and the post-plant positioning. They gave up the whole side of the map, Ali.
Yeah, no, I mean, we watched the double of Denza again. I mean, huge gunfight wins, but unfortunately, he had a lot more work to do as he was in a 1v4, as no players from 3G actually fell in that round. So now Keza is sitting at 4-1. Elevate are going to have to look to start shutting him down soon if they don't want to allow 3G to start running away with this S&D.
That's right. Looking at the offensive team, though, we've got Elevate. Every round so far, these guys have gone up through mid. It looks like the 4 are now committed towards the B site for the first time. Trophy systems out. Don't want that white van detonating just next to you. 3 players going straight through circle. It looks like they just want to establish a quick takeover of Laundry here. And they're certainly, they got Team 3G running, tucking their tail and running scared. Players 1 and 4, Keza and Beans, immediately abandoned ship when they saw that stampede coming through circle.
I almost respect the play out of 3G just to completely back up, because they knew the pressure was coming in from the side of Elevate, but now they have a lot of work to do here to try and retake this bomb site. As US number 8, that's Denza. He's going to be in window overlooking the bomb. He's going to be met with Kids and Nile, so I'm expecting some gunfights to start happening on that side of the map. And Hixie, I mean, he's trying to get over aggressive to shut down Keza and the other player 3G in the back. That's going to be Nile, but Beans and they're pushing to the front. They're going to try and shoot them in the back, and that's what's happening. Is Nile finds one. Now there's only one player on the side of Elevate left. That's going to be Hixie, but, I mean, Kids is on the defuse. Hixie's going to have to shoot him off. He's going to have to peek this corner, but he has to deal with Kids first. He's going to take down Nile. He gets the kill. Beautiful shots on the side of Elevate. I mean, he gets the 2 Kids. You had one job, and that was to look over the bomb plant. We're going to watch again as Hixie snaps onto Kids and is able to take down Nile before the defuse comes through.
What has it been? Only 4 rounds? This is the most stressful start to a search and destroy I've seen. We got plants on the B bomb site, every opportunity they could find. We got a very high action, high intensity search and destroy already, and I'm wondering if we see Elevate maybe play around this B side a little bit differently, because I don't think it's been benefiting them nearly as much as we've seen Team 3G benefit from it.
Weeman eats that tactical and says, I'm good, no thank you, but he's met by the fire of kids on poolside. And an A plan is not typically we see in the scene currently when it comes to this raid search and destroy it, but I mean, they're going to get the commit and they're going to get bombed down and 2 players down from Elevate. I mean, great answer back on the side of 3G as they now move towards mid, and they're going to try and take down Denza. He finds one before falling. Not yet, though. Kids does back up and just kind of play his life as Denza is looking for blood.
One player inside the Tiki Hut. That's Kids. He's able to find a double kill just like that. Team 3G with the post-plant positioning inside the hut, able to find a round win. And Ali, I think that you said something very important there, is the way that the A site is played on this map is of course very different as to what we saw previously on Raid and Black Ops 2 especially. These long open lines of sight, this map was designed for you to play around. When we're not seeing snipers, it becomes so difficult to try and close that gap when you have such a long distance to travel. And so you see it playing out right there. Those submachine gun players had to get right up close and personal, as close as they could to the guy in Tiki to engage them.
Elevate looking to answer with their own A push, but the only thing about this pool side is you have to commit to it very quickly, because if you're too slow and they get that information, they can just rotate from mid and shoot you right off the bomb. But Kids actually backs back into his spawn, so he doesn't get the information to call out to his teammates. So that's bomb down on the side of Elevate, and now all of 3G have to start to rotate to make this collapse from all angles onto the Elevate team with bomb down. But I mean, they're going to have to answer to a lot as 6 and 7. That's going to be Weeman and Bid staring at you down from the long haul. And Hixie free in the stairs. Almost takes down Nile, but he's unable to. Weeman, you need to get that trade, but he's unable to. So now 2 player from Elevate fall, and left up is Weeman and Denza. Bomb is planted, but they have to get these kills. Weeman finds one. He gets traded out. Denza left on his own. We've seen him do it once before. Is he going to do it again? He does it again! He does it again, Kids! You have to take down Elevate. You cannot let Denza do this to you as the same as Hixie has. I mean, one shot. He's got to be feeling the pain from that one.
They post that plant positioning. They planted for bedroom. Denza knew what was up. He came through and shut it all down, right? Saw the round loss unfolding before him and was able to end that prophecy. We see Team 3G tying things up here at Elevate tying things up here at 3-3. Still up 1-0 in the series. Lots of back and forth in the search and destroy. We also had a close score hard point. Bids opening things up with a powerful delivery of 3 straight kills, unanswered so far. Keza finding himself in a 1v3.
Keza's just kind of left on his own with only so much to do. He does have bomb in hand, but I mean, Elevate have the information that he's kind of stuck deep in the back of their spawn, and they can kind of just sit here and hold angles and wait for him to show his face, as Denza just caught him, and there he goes. He will fall. Elevate now in a 1 round up on 3G in this S&D, and this is exactly the position that they wanted to be in, as this search and destroy has been so back and forth for both teams.
Yes, 1 round up, 2 wins in a row. Elevate start to break away here from what we've seen. The trend in this search and destroy is get the bomb plant down, win the round. Get the bomb plant down, win the round. This time around, of course, it unfolding differently. Looking on the side of Elevate, seeing lots of pushes towards middle map in the early stages of the search and destroy, and now they are opting to commit more players straight onto that B bomb site. You saw just how dangerous it is when you're able to set up with good post-plant positioning. Last time it ended up being 3G pinching them. Keza is fighting this one from top laundry though, right where you want to be. He's got support behind him for any kind of flanks as well. He exposes himself, and Weeman catches him and punishes him for that positioning. The trade comes through instantly though from Kids. Bids in the gunfight, not able to do it. And we see the tie game once again as 3G knots it up at 4-4.
Bids, unfortunately, with the AK-74U in hand, was not able to take that long-range fight, but we're going to watch Kids again get a couple of picks. I believe he's one that shuts down Weeman over in this corner. There it is. Good snap right onto him from the call-out from his teammates. I mean, 3G, I mean, great setup. Elevate, one of kind of the textbook things. This is the first person you need to take down if you want to get onto the B side on Raid, is take down the guy in window, and unfortunately, they weren't able to do that, which allowed them to get shut down by Keza.
Thinking about the the way some of these names kind of blend into each other in this lobby, right? We got Kids, Bids, Denza, and Keza. Anyway, looking through the eyes of Team 3G, though. They're pushing up towards the site. They will not be met with much opposition on the opposite side of Laundry, as we've seen Elevate likes to give that up, and they also like to give up the rounds in this search and destroy, it seems. Could play out a bit differently this time, though, as Elevate have, of course, grown more and more used to this post-plant positioning and this post-plant situation against this particular team. First Blood still goes to 3G regardless. There is an answer back as Bids is able to find Kids. Trophy system's coming out, so I imagine we see an Elevate player get to the bomb site here shortly. But Keza needs to be dealt with. This is the raid boss, and they know it. Bids is able to find him off the white van. Top art and pillars are a problem. Hixie, what can you do here? First gunfight win is massive. Can maintain that pillar control and let them get the bomb defused. You only got 15 seconds left, and they do it. Just like that, he can stick it and put Elevate at map point.
I love that Bidge just knew he was getting baited. I'm sure Ixie was like, just slide in. I promise I'll get the trade, because I mean, you saw him just wait a second to make that challenge. And I definitely was scared for a minute there. Elevate looked like they had a little bit of a missed call trying to go through mid, and 3G didn't do what they expected to. But the retake was just done beautifully as they went off of that first blood trade and forced all of their sub players to just kind of push up middle here. So we watch Hicks once again take down Beans.
Hixie, high impact player in the hard point, contributing as well in the search and destroy. Elevate play calling has been developing slowly but surely throughout their search and destroy, as they kind of, in some ways, limp along to the finish here. They find themselves at map point, but 3G, they look perfectly capable of finding 2 round wins in a row, forcing that round 11 and finding a victory. So we'll have to see what unfolds here, because I'm really not convinced either way at this point, Allie.
Honestly, Elevate, after that last round, I think First Blood already goes through, and they're such a First Blood team. I mean, once they get First Blood, they collapse onto you, and they put in that pressure. I mean, you have Hixie and Bids running in your face, and that's what's exactly is going to start going down. So 3G needs to start answering to that, as Hixie does get tagged up. Bomb will be planted, but Niles in mid. He could do something here if he decided to push it out now and take down Bids, but he does it a little bit too late, as Hixie is now stuck in a 1v2. He knows the information of where Beans is, but he also knows that Niall is probably quickly behind him, but the patience pays off. He sees Niall. If he gets the kill on the Niall, here it is. Oh, she wrote, but he unfortunately does not finish the kill, so we are going to be going to a round 11 and our map 2. I wish Hixie would have played his life a little bit more there, because they did have bomb down.
Yeah, and I'm sure this, what I'm about to say, is not the case, but that felt like the first one-on-one engagement that Hixie's lost all series. And what an awful time to do it, as Niall is able to force the round 11 for Team 3G. They've been going back and forth all throughout this map. I would not have it end any other way. Awesome contributions from both teams. I'm interested to see how the macro play on the mini-map has unfolds here in the round 11, after they have so much information as to how the opposing teams are playing. Looking through the eyes of Niall, who's on a 2-kill streak. We've seen him plant the bomb 3 times. He did find that clutch 1v1 in the previous round to force the round 11. It looks like they're making moves towards middle map.
Round 11, everything starts to slow down whenever it comes to match point. As we see, Bomb still hasn't really left the spine of 3G. Now looking to make its way towards the B site, but they're going to have to answer Hixie, who's going to get tagged up and send that information over to his teammates that push is being made.
2 on site, 1 on middle map, 1 player top art. The same setup we've seen from them time and time again on B. The difference this time that they don't have easy control of Laundry, right? 2 Elevate players stayed, Hixie and Denza. They didn't give it up as easily as they have previously. Bomb goes down regardless, though, so they have a lot of work to do and a lot to answer to. 1 player falls on middle map, and Wee Man is going to be able to get out with his life. He'll need to get to the bomb site to support here soon, because that clock is ticking, Ali. 23 seconds remain. Semtex detonates directly behind the feet of Denza. He's still he's trying to set this white van on fire, but it doesn't seem to be going. Player behind it is still surviving, wasting their time. No one's able to defuse, and 3G wins in round 11, playing that clock like a fiddle. Excellent play from them as they close it out.
I think Elevate just played a little bit too far back there, and the second Vidge dropped in Garage. That was just kind of all she wrote, even though it got traded out. I mean, I understand Hixie, and I believe it was Denzo, were trying to, Weeman, were trying to kind of duo it out over here in circle, but the kills were just not going through. He was unable to tag up his feet under a van, so he couldn't trade out the kill from his teammate, and super unfortunate for Elevate, but 3G, great composure. I mean, to close out and bring those 2 rounds back to be able to take the S&D.
Yeah, I mean, I like to be able to go that far with a team that's clearly keeping up with your pace, keeping up with everything. They're executing these offensive rounds so well. You know, you really got to go the distance when a team's bringing it to you like that. I think that both teams certainly did it, but Team 3G in the end were just the better, polished, coordinated team in this search and destroy. You kind of see it all unfold here in the replays again. A lot of the action around Laundry, and it's a lot of blue arrows sat there, right? Keza with the Krieg, I'm sure he got very familiar with this part of the map.
What's interesting is both teams are pretty even across the board. All players were firing on all cylinders. There's nobody really falling behind. So we definitely saw what was probably the best of both teams, and that's Search and Destroy. And Team 3G, I mean, they are definitely showing up against this Elevate team. I mean, you look at Nile and Bean, kind of like the duo when it comes to S&D. I mean, they were just shutting down Elevate. They were shutting down Bids. Once you get that first kill on to a player like Bids, who can make such a difference on the map, we saw him get 3 picked off in 1 round and just kind of all she wrote. I mean, that was huge for the side of Team 3G. So now it's interesting to see if they're going to be able to take this motivation and capitalize on when it comes to the control against Elevate, because Elevate is a gross control team, especially when it comes to the defensive.
Yeah, you mentioned just how strong they could be on defense. We saw glimmers of it in that hard point when they were able to hold down a point. We even saw it at times in that Search and Destroy. You know, once these guys are coordinated and set on a plan, they certainly stick to it. And there is a good sense of cohesion in that regard. We still have to wonder what that's going to amount to when it comes to 3G also outplaying them, right? I think that we saw some play calls from 3G that were just that they took the initiative to recognize how Elevate was playing, where they were playing, and it benefited them several times. That kept them throughout that entire Search and Destroy map. Even in the hard point, right? The 3G roster were able to get such large chunks of time from mid to late game, and that's what made the game close in the first place. So I'm looking forward to see. I'm looking forward to see if Elevate can see their victory through to the completion of the map, or if they give 3G enough time to kind of recollect, regain, and come out on top.
Well, so the thing about it is, you know, looking at the maps, we're going into checkmate, right? And we just saw that in Hardpoint. We saw that Elevate ended up coming back on top. So I wonder if, you know, putting them back on the same map that you lost to earlier in the series is going to be affecting 3G at all, because they know they're going to have to shut down Bids, and they're not going to have to allow Hixie to get into plane and get that control, or allow Dem to get into plane or get in that mid control. So, I mean, I think it's going to be a giant hurdle for 3G for sure, but I think that S&D win was definitely a start for them. And going into the control, you know, we usually talk about the players to look out for in certain game modes. And when it comes to the side of Elevate, you know, I'm looking at Bids, and I'm looking at Hixie. I'm looking at Hixie to get into the plane. I'm looking at Bids to look over the long lanes on the side. So when it comes to 3G, though, I'm wondering who you're kind of keeping your eye on when it comes to this control.
I think on the side of 3G, we saw a lot from Keza. We can easily pick out our stars in this series for sure. But I think you put it well at a great point in time in that Search and Destroy. It's really been everyone contributing. You can't point the blame. You can't point the finger at an individual in this series. I think, at least up to this point. We'll have to see how it unfolds as we head back to the hangar on checkmate for control. That's going to be our third map of the series. Elevate and 3G currently tied up 1-1. If you are just tuning in, we're watching the European rosters play in the Call of Duty Challengers for Season 3. Of course, all of the teams that you're watching on stream are playing for their share of $100,000 up for grabs for this season. This is the highest level of competition that is not the franchise league. And of course, we have players, I think we just saw an announcement today, players from this Challenger series are still going up to the Pro League. It's Chino, correct?
Oh yeah, it was Chino. He did get brought up to the Pro League on LAG, I believe.
Yeah, LA Gorillas, and they were looking for a sub. They were looking for to pull someone up with things involving Vivid. So I'm interested to see what another one of our wonderful players from this series, from this competition, can do in the franchise league.
Yeah, no, it's definitely super exciting. We saw the tweets today as we were waiting to go live. That's you know, Chino is one of those really good guy players that you want to see succeed. So seeing that definitely warmed my heart going in, and he's just one of those all around very consistent players. You know, he's a good vibe to be around. He's a good mind to have. He's a good IQ to have. And speaking of consistency, touching on our series, I kind of relate the two. The fact that all players on both teams are kind of firing on all cylinders, and you know, everybody's kind of doing their job on the map, it makes me wonder if possibly this series could end up just coming to stamina from the players. You know, as we keep going on to, you know, map 3, possibly map 4, map 5, if it'll all come down to, you know, if they can continue that consistency consistency throughout the series, or if a player or two starts to drop on either side and the other team really capitalizes on it.
Yeah, that's a good question, and it's definitely going to come down to the mental fortitude of these individual players. I have to say, on day 2 of season 3 for the Challengers Elite, I'm not super concerned about the idea of pressure for them at the moment, but at least pressure in terms of wanting to go the distance in a series against the tougher teams, just in case standings come down to map point at a later stage. I think that might be weighing on them in the back of their minds. You don't want to give up too many maps, especially up against teams that you think you might just barely be able to edge out. We have a really contentious series so far as we go into map number 3 on Checkmate, and I don't think that they want to let this slip and end up coming out with that 3-1 loss.
Well, I already want to talk about Team 3G just because they do have that new addition of kids and already being able to, I guess, to hang with a team like Elevate, who's stuck together and been one of the top teams in Europe. Do you think it's, maybe just the newness of kids? It's kind of like that honeymoon phase where, everything's going really well and they're contending really well with top teams, or if, he really made that much of an addition to this team to kind of put them at that level and be able to hang this much with the top EU team.
I think that's a good question, and we are going to be able to see that and actually be able to identify just what his impact is. So far, I gotta say, so far so good. He looks all right. I think he is coordinating well with the team, but I'm curious to see at the level of communications and strategizing where the newness might become maybe a bit of a conflict for the team, or it might give them some issues in the game. So at the moment, we're getting the players set up for map number 3. Again, it's tied up 1-1 between these two teams, Elevate and 3G. As we get the players set up for this third map, give us a moment for a short break, and we'll be right back with more Call of Duty action. Stay tuned.
Hey guys, welcome back. We are
Fooled
gonna
you,
be
get
getting our
pranked.
players into our lobby real fast. They're just waiting, I believe, on one. But before we hop in, I do have to ask predictions, Fox. I am gonna go ahead and say my hot take. If I believe Elevate is just too good of a team, I believe they're gonna hopefully try and shut down the series before 3G kind of gets a solid foothold to run away with it. I want to know if you have any hot takes going into this.
Well, we've reviewed quite a bit about what 3G and Elevate are going to look like throughout the rest of this series, but I think that we're going to see. I think that we're going to see potential Game 5. I know we saw just so many of those yesterday, but with just how close in competition these guys have been from Map 1 to Map 2 so far, I definitely see it going the distance here. Unless there's some crazy blowout, and of course, momentum or something is shot in some crazy way. My prediction is going to be that we see I'm going to say Elevate takes this one 3-2. I'm sold on that one. Elevate takes this series 3-2. But Ali, I kind of want to talk about the EU region as a whole. I think we've gotten to see quite a bit of the teams in their first impressions in the league up to this point. And soon here we'll get to see Pushing Gaming to be able to qualify on April 17th for the European region. That's Ranker Torres, Alfoon, Zap.
I'm looking towards, I told you today, Elevate and 3G were the ones I 100% wanted to make sure
This
I
is
was
your
on
team,
board
right?
with. So this
Yep.
is my team that we're already on board with as we hop into this control. And I think it'll mostly come down to bids and beans at the end of the day. What a mouthful, try to say that 3 times fast. I'm certainly not going to. But as we hop right into it, we're with kids as they're all going to start fighting for this mid-plane control.
Send the kids through middle map. He's going to be just above 2 players lurking below him on the plane wing. And you see he's searching for him because he knows the competition is nearby. He's going to come out on top in his first gun engagement, slipping behind enemy lines here. We'll see what he makes of it. Many kills so far in favor of 3G. Not much of a response from the side of Elevate as they still have to deal with the players on their flank. Niall's going to stay alive and force those awful spawns in the bottom right corner. We kind of mentioned earlier how powerful position is on this map when you're in defense around that plane, and just how easy it is to hold it down. But look at how forward 3G is playing. They got elevated up against the back, up against the wall.
I said it would come down to beans and bids, but as I'm looking, I mean, beans is 4-1, kids is 4-1 as well. They are pushed up in elevate spawn, not allowing them to get anywhere near min-map. Niall has plane control, and now there is only 30 seconds on the clock with 0 progression anywhere. I mean, I think there might be like a hair on the B site, but I mean, that's only so much to go off of as kids is bottom plane just shutting down players left and right on the side of elevate. They have a lot of work to do here. We've seen worse. We've seen the clock be at 0.01 seconds and somebody takes a point, but elevate, great answering back as they finally are able to push out into this mid site and get a little progression going on both sides.
Bit of tech progression indeed on both the A site and the B site. A site so far uncontested. The first kill that they were able to find is going to be the crucial one because that should secure them at least a second tick as the remaining 3G players all come up far back in the corner of their spawn. But all attention is still paid towards A. It looks like they want to make this last ditch effort to stop it. Still too far away from the action though. Wee Man really was just able to sit pretty even with all the tacticals and lethals raining on him, and now he's able to provide supporting fire for the B site. However, with most of the kills in the plane going in favor of 3G, Hicks has got quite a bit of work to do before being put down. We see Bids last alive from this wave of engagements. He's playing his life. He's waiting for support. Rewarded with the kill as he stomps Niall jumping off of the plane. Big play right there to continue his just a little 2 streak. But the fact that he's still alive from the last wave and he's able to sit in position and support his team like this is huge.
Kids was on a 4 streak. He finally gets shot down, but what an answer by the side of Elevate. I mean, everything was going in favor of 3G, and by the end of it, I mean, they still only have about a 3 life lead. A is gone. B almost gets the tick in as soon as I start speaking about it. 3G is looking to decap that, but we've seen this situation happen at the A site. 30 seconds in, Elevate just need one good wipe, and they can get in and get some ticks onto the B site. Number 4, Denza tries to get behind enemy lines. He gets shut down quickly by Keza, and now as the final push comes in, it's looking all in favor of 3G.
Pressure's on Elevate. Someone has to go on a streak. It's a 5 to 9 life count battle here with 10 seconds left on the clock. You have to play perfect control for the rest of this round, but it looks like Team 3G are they're just able to sit so comfortably and play out the remainder of this game. No respawns remain. It's going to be a 3 versus 5. Clock's ticking. The pressure's on Elevate.
They desperately need trophies down into this point as all of 3G is using every tactical in their arsenal to try and take down these players. 2v3 as Weeman finds two. He finds a third one. It is all at the bits and Weeman, but 3G finally shut him down. Scary for just a moment there, but 3G end up closing it out. But that's got to be a hard win for them, considering how good and how much fire they had in the beginning, just to get shut down by Elevate and almost lose such a solid hold. Definitely some scary stuff on the side of Elevate.
Look at Bids. I'm so happy we got to see that play again, but in slow motion. Dude's just nasty. I mean, really just beating his feet, making it all work, moving around with incredible maneuverability around the plane. And so now we see a round switch here. Team 3G in the lead so far. Again, if you're just tuning in, we had a quick break as we were waiting for the players to get settled in for this third map. Well underway at this point. Keza opening things up with the first blood. He's been contributing in a big way this series, every map so far. We'll see what kind of tick progress they can get on the A point as Hixie's able to find their first response for Elevate.
I talked about Elevate being a terrifying defensive team, and they're going to have to do it here now so they can even this up. The last thing they want to happen is Team 3G to go up 2-0 in this control in Hixie. I mean, they're already looking to do the return the favor of 3G as he tries to get behind enemy lines. He does get shut down, but still, all the blue arrows on the minimap. That's all of Team 3G still stuck in their spawn. Denza pushed up. He finds one. Is he going to be able to get the kill on Kids? He is. Kids, you cannot let that happen. Lives going in favor of Elevate. Now, Team 3G, are you going to be able to pull off the same thing that Elevate did when you put them in this situation? We're going to have to watch and see.
Trapped in the corner. Look at player 1 and 2, Weeman and Bids, up close and personal, keeping it that way. They're hoping to continue pushing them back and forcing them to waste their time, very limited time that Team 3G has. Just 30 seconds left on the clock to capture at least a point on this map. No tick progress made just yet, at least nothing solidified. And we see they're able to clear out the opposition on the A site. But the remaining players, the surrounding players, are able to support and find 2 kills, and especially as Kids is able to collect them on his own, and they get more tick progress going. So with 20 seconds on the clock, things are suddenly looking up for Team 3G as they were able to make progress onto the A point and keep Kids alive and playing because he's holding it down all on his own.
A looks like it's about to be done and dusted, but Elevate, they're looking like they want to commit at least a little bit of resources here to try and make it stop, but they're a second too late. So Team 3G able to pull off the same as Elevate as they answer right back from that bit of a spawn push, and Keza now looking to pick a couple off of plane as they're trying to rotate over here, but Elevate trying to keep them in check. Here comes Denza, ends up shutting him down. Life count 16-15 as it continues to trade out as soon as I call it out, but pretty even across the board. A minute on the clock, very doable for 3G. Elevate here, they need to hold a perfect defense because they, again, do not want to go down 0-2 in this control.
50 seconds left. We are seeing 3G go toe-to-toe with Elevate, certainly having them with their backs against the wall at several points throughout not just this map, but the series as a whole. And especially explosive multi-kills like that coming from Nile. We've seen that time and time again in this series. Denza is a part of the cleanup crew to make the best of that situation. As we find ourselves back in the middle of the map, I want you to keep your attention towards the clock. 23 seconds remain, as well as the life total. 12 for the side of Elevate, 8 for 3G, as firefights are well underway.
Denza continuing to try and get behind enemy lines and just waste time as all of 3G have to turn around to get that kill onto him, and that allows Elevate to push up in this plane control and shut down all the players from 3G. None of them are close enough to get the 3-point. 2 seconds on the clock. Elevate answer right back with a round of their own. Now tied 1-1. Fox, your prediction might be right. We might be looking at a 3-2 win here.
I'm trying to tell you, it's just one blow for another. These guys are trading back and forth all series long, and I think it's going to carry us the distance. We saw quite a bit of that yesterday, and I think it's only right that we start off the day with more of that same action. Kids, we get to see it again, the long-range AK-74U just piecing them up. Big gunfight win on Denza right there as he re-engages. Just great maneuverability with the submachine gun there, as I said earlier. And so as we get into this round, we come into it with Bids on a 2-streak, Denza with just a simple 1. Closest one to breaking 20 kills in this lobby is going to be Bids at 17. So let's see what action he gets into in the opening moments of this round.
Elevate knows what 3G is trying to do now as they witnessed in that first round, so they're trying to make sure that does not happen again as they all commit to the A site. Denza finds the first kill. This is a perfect setup. 3 members from 3G are all in plane. They could absolutely capitalize on this A point right now as they are doing. 3G need to make a decision now if they're going to chalk this site or try to commit lives towards it as they are already down 1. Players from 3G, they're trying to make the play. But Elevate are reading it. But Kids and Keza, they find 2. And so that shuts down Elevate's push onto A. But they did find 2 ticks on their side. So I wouldn't count them down and out yet as lives are still pretty even across the board. They do need to worry about Kids though. He is pushed up, looking to push past their crate into a P2 position. 3 and 4, that's going to be Hixa and Denza. They're going to have to find him here as he finds 1. Is he going to shut down Hixie? He does not. Now Hixie gets the free go ahead to push up on the side. But looks to shut them down, but he's unable to. Trades going back and forth on both sides. 46 seconds on the clock. 3G holding on to this A site, not letting Elevate get in. Kid is just having a game, shutting them down left and right. You've got to make a commitment to the B site, Elevate, because 3G is not letting you get anywhere near this edge.
How grateful must 3G be of players like Keza and Kids to be able to have tools like these in your arsenal in this matchup is so important. Show-stopping plays from the submachine gun players in blue in this lobby. With 20 seconds remaining on the clock, Elevate has been able to make 2 tiers of tick progress on the A site as they also set foot into B. Need to make some magic happen here soon though, because the round could end here and Team 3G could take it.
Beeman and Bids need to push up to help Hixie because he is all by himself at this B site and he's going to need some cavalry soon. But as I say that, number 4, Denza is making his way towards A. Him and Weeman are going to try and defend it over here as now Bids and Hixie are getting control of this plane site. This could be very scary for 3G. They need to get inside this plane and get this control and shut down Hixie and Bids. And as soon as I say that, Beans and Keza are able to get the kills through. But Weeman and Denza, they're pushed up in the spawn now. They're looking to get a couple kills on the side of 3G as they are deep in the back.
Yeah, that's a minute up on the clock. Elevate fans, you got 2 players behind enemy lines. This is the best that you've been looking in the last minute of this control game. Of course, that play ultimately unraveled and shut down, and Kids dismantles the rest of it on middle map. Big reset here as Elevate come up off of spawn. Life total count sitting at 10 to 13. So still a very close game. Not a lot of time left, and still a lot of work to be done from Elevate with 0 tick progress on the B site.
Nile is over on the other side. He does get shut down, which is a huge power position for the side of Elevate. If they get a whole wipe right here, this could be very dangerous for 3G. And as soon as I say it, they get the wipe. 20 seconds on the clock. All of 3G is off of spawn, and they have to run into the pre-fire of Weeman and Bids. And that is about the last thing I would ever want to sign up for as they push the left side of this plane.
Very close life total here. Kids comes through and does what he's been doing all map long, opening things up with a double kill. These unanswered multi-kills from that submachine gun player are just devastating, just tearing apart their objective setups. And you see again, staying alive, finding more from it, capitalizing on his positioning. Even with the red screen, he knows where his next engagement's going to be, and they finally trade him out, but not before it's too late. Team 3G, they're able to take that map.
Milliseconds. Elliot was milliseconds from touching that point right before that clock hit 0, but again, a very, very close round of offensive control by the side of Elevate, but 3G quickly shut it down, and now they're looking at match points, so they cannot give any room for an offensive here on the side of 3G. But Elevate, like I said, they do not give any leeway when it comes to defense on control. So Team 3G, Kids and Keza need to continue what they're doing and make their presence known in that plane and take down all the members of Elevate.
Absolutely. No more mistakes from Elevate. Team 3G looking to close things out here on this map as they find that previous round win. Kids, he's been one of the more impactful aggressors on the map with this weapon in hand, the AK-74U. This time around, he will be the first to fall, and definitely nice to get the raid boss down early as you try to get some positioning around the B point here, but really not much has come from it. A little bit of progress on A. It will be met with Kids up off on spawn. Not a 1v1 engagement you want to take at this point. He's been winning all of those. Tagged up, he's forced to back up, of course being outnumbered in this situation. No one over his shoulder, so if they could get a well-placed grenade on him or something, they could take him out, but you're not gunning him.
Kids is on a roll. They need to shut him down if they want to look for a comfortable lead in this control. As I say that, he gets taken down,
Pixie.
and Elevate get a couple of kills on their side.
Yeah, and Ali, you saw right there, Hixie was able to come through, stop kids, and smash the rest of the 3G players in that corner. Still, no tick progress made. Elevate has been able to mount a pretty reasonable defense so far. With 20 seconds left on the clock, you have to wonder what 3G is cooking up.
Kids, time and time again, off spawn. I mean, instant two-piece. He finally gets shut down, but I mean, you constantly have to worry about him every time that he gets back off the spawn. And he's constantly shutting down the players of Elevate, and Weeman able to take down and help his Elevate get 3 players from 3G. And now no ticks have gone to the side of 3G. 3 seconds left. Nobody's going to be able to get it. So now we're going to a 2-2 match point. Unfortunately, 3G were close, but they weren't able to slide into that A point. So I believe because of our new rules, Elevate should have another defense here, as 3G weren't able to get any ticks in that round.
Yeah, that's a huge stop for them. And as you mentioned, if the new overtime rules for control, the more tick progress that you have, that's what's going to determine which side you get in control here. So if your prediction is correct, we should see Elevate again on defense here, which is right where you want to be on Checkmate.
Yep, this is exactly where Elevate wants to be right now in another defensive round. And across the board, I mean, Weeman and Bids and Hixie, let's see, 25 and 22, 25 and 22, 25 and even across the board, 21 and 22. I mean, they are lighting it up. On the side of Team 3G, Nile, unfortunately, having a bit of a slow start, 18 to 26. And we'll have to see if it comes down a little bit to that, because we had that conversation earlier of they were all firing on all cylinders. You know, it's scary to see what would happen if any of them start to slow down, as Bids finds 2 quickly. He is on a 7 streak. He is looking to work towards streaks, which are going to be detrimental in this final round of control.
Kids comes through for the cleanup before being traded out. Denza with a double kill. I'll have to see what he does with his positioning here, because no one has been able to respond to him. Closest one is Nile. He falls. Great support, very timely kill coming from Weeman there. Again, I'm wondering what they do with this positioning. Playing on defense here, they decide to stay on middle map. They don't get up and aggressive and try and get anyone set up for a flank. They're just waiting for the next push through mid. Kid mounting this effort all by himself. No support. He dies alone. Bottom of the map as well. All these individual engagements being lost, and Keza comes out on top with 1. But what does it really matter if you're still waiting for the rest of your team to respawn?
Very, very safe defensive hold out of the side of Elevate to just kind of create that giant wall in mid-map. And because that was huge kill for him to get playing, because it allowed the Elevate players kind of have to turn for him and try to shut him down, and allowed his teammates to finally push out of spawn. But they still have a lot of work to do with 24 seconds on the clock. They're going to finally get into A and hopefully work towards that tip progress, but they have 3 members on the side of Elevate to answer to that push.
Bids, first player in the lobby to break 30. Weeman follows it up just seconds after. And we're seeing some streaks come down from the sky as well. I want to give a quick shout out to the double kill that we saw in about 30 seconds ago from Weeman, where he was able to slip behind enemy lines, find the double kill, and buy his team some more time to get back into a defensive position. I have to say, that's what's spelling victory for them here as the clock ticks down to 0 and Elevate takes that map win.
I mean, I believe 3 players on the side of Elevate had broken 30, so like I said, I'm not going to rest the entire loss on the weight of Nile's shoulders, but it's definitely detrimental when it comes to these caliber of teams. When everybody's firing on all cylinders, that's when you really see some of the most competitive matches, and unfortunately, everyone on 3G was not able to fire on all cylinders, so they did end up getting handed that loss, and you were right in your prediction. 3-2, Elevate take the win. I mean, I loved that final defensive play. I mean, they all sat back, they created that line of defense, they ran the clock just by picking off every player of 3G alpha spawn. They didn't get greedy. They didn't try to push it up, because, I mean, when you think about the second they get killed, I mean, that allows an entire lane for 3G to push through and work on that tick progress. So, I mean, just great composure out of Elevate overall.
Yeah, and you mentioned their failure to push up. They preferred to stay on middle map and kind of play back a bit. I think we might see a bit of it here in the replays, but that found them a lot more success in maybe the first minute of the game than it did later on, and maybe they adjusted and adapted to that, especially being able to hold 2 defensives back-to-back like that in such a clutch way. I mean, they clearly knew what they were doing, and that was a coordinated effort and a coordinated way to complete the map. We saw a lot from Kids. The AK-74U that you're going to see in these replays, that's usually going to be in his hands, as well as Keza. I mean, these guys were just always in the mix. So much damage contributed from these 2 players, and you see it was always about that objective.
And I talked about how I felt like it would come down to Bids versus Beans. And I mean, Beans was doing what he could on the map, but I mean, Bids did end up coming out on top. But I mean, you can even talk about an MVP of that series at this point, just because all of Elevate were just doing incredible things on the map. And yeah, no, we have to hand it to Kids. I mean, he was definitely doing what he could for his team. Unfortunately, it didn't end up working out for them in the end, but I definitely appreciate Bids kind of, you know, getting those streaks, but his entire team didn't necessarily play around them. You know, they didn't kind of lean on those streaks as their like win condition. They just kind of had them as backup, as we didn't even see those streaks get called in until the last couple of seconds when it was kind of done and dusted that Elevate were going to take the control. So I definitely respect that a lot and not leaning on those. So now looking at the maps, as Elevate go up 2-1 in this series, we're going to be moving into Raid Hardpoint. We saw Raid earlier in the series as a search and destroy that 3G were able to close out in around 11. However, so far in our respawns, Elevate has been showing a bit of a dominating performance.
Yeah, Elevate's been nice this series. 3G has as well, and that's why we're going to continue to see such a close series. Every map, even this hardpoint, I expect to see them put up a good fight. Again, I do want to reiterate in that hardpoint, what we saw was a late game resurgence from Team 3G. I'm curious to see how differently that plays out once we get onto Raid. Maybe Elevate just eager to close out at 3-1. We'll have to see if Team 3G can make us go the distance and find us on that Game 5 of Moscow Search and Destroy. Any predictions here? Do you see us going to Game 5 here? Do you think that Elevate closes it out 3-1, Ali?
As we load into the game, I'm definitely favoring Elevate. I feel like Team 3G, because of that kind of late resurgence and that earlier hard point, is just not going to work out for them here. I feel like they have to come out hot, especially after Elevate's 3-2 control win. And if they should not do that, Elevate can definitely run with it here.
Right, and so looking at the Raid hardpoint, it seems some of the action is already underway. Again, if you're just tuning in, Elevate up 2-1 in the series here as we're playing out our European region matchups for the Call of Duty Challenger Series, Season 3. They're all fighting for their share of $100,000 in this competition, and Elevate in their day 2 of matches this week are looking to close out a series 3-1. 3G fighting for their lives right now in this series as they have control of the scrap time for hill number 1 and a 30-second lead.
And not to mention, they are already rotated for P2 as well, as all of Elevate trying to commit their way in here. Bids having a bit of a slow start off of what was a dominating control by him as well, but they finally are able to make their way in as Weeman is by himself, one-man army trying to defend this P2 point, but they do secure spawns to get inside of this hill. Now 3G now looking for the redemption as he's starting off 5-2. Kids continuing his hot streak at 6-2 and being 6-1. So 3G doing what they definitely needed to if they wanted to take this hard point, and definitely starting off very hot.
Yeah, Keza finding his first 2 kills in the hard point, holding down the fort. Bids still killless on the other side. We'll have to see how that changes as we rotate to Garage hardpoint, where Elevate might be in a better position to get the initial time, because it looks like this one's just going to be all 3G. I mean, it's a 70-second lead right off the start. Keza has spent most of his time alive in this map on the hard point. 5 streak before he's finally taken down. Nile, of course, is there to follow it up, but this scrap time will go to Team 3G, and the last player that has something to say about it is going to be Denza, who falls. So initial hill time in Garage. We're hopping over to the Lambo collection. Beans is looking to hop in the driver's seat before he's taken down. Bids still in position. More pressure is coming from the front. Those double garage doors, and the vent is always open. You see Bids pre-aiming, waiting for someone to take that path.
Den's just going through it as he had spawned at old 3 times in a row, just trying to make it across map to his teammates to secure those spawns in Lambos. He finally is able to do so. Good hold so far, but Team 3G are looking to make this push in through Jim here, but they quickly get shut down by the likes of Pixie and Bids as they are starting to spawn cross map, and Bids is already rotating. 23 seconds left on the clock. No members of 3G are over on basketball court. They committed a little too much to this Lambo scrap time, and now they're gonna have to answer to him. Now Bids is gonna take down 3 members if he's looking to do anything here. Unfortunately unable to. So once again, 3G early on this rotation, definitely out of character for Elevate to be this late, but they've definitely put themselves at least a little bit back into this game, Fox.
Yeah, we saw actually Keza ended up spawning up right next to the old hard point at the vent, and was just able to get through pool for free. We see that Hixie will take the long route from circle through mid all the way over to probably money or poolside to get into the mix of this hard point. But it will be too little too late. It seems like this play is taking so long to develop that he hasn't been much help on the hard point. Killing the player off spawn and having the opportunity for a pinch right here is a beautiful setup though. So they end up being rewarded with this play. Wee Man finds 2 kills. Hixie's on a 5 streak. I mean, this is a great spot to be in, and it looked a little shaky, I can't lie.
Elevate his composure to get through this hill and kind of put themselves back in this game. I mean, only about a 30 to 40 point decimate. Weeman doing absolutely the most he possibly can to put his teammates in an optimal position to take down the rest of 3G. He is having a hot start of 10 and 8. Denza a little bit behind at 9 and 13, but I talked about those unfortunate spawns at old, so giving him a little bit of leeway. But 3G, once again, they're trying to get that early rotation now, shuts down Weeman, and they're looking to take the first couple of seconds onto this next hard play.
Niall is going to be overlooking the hard point from circle. You see he's got a line of sight into mid. He's also able to hold down any kind of pinches that might come from laundry side. But the 2 players that were thinking about it, Benz and Denza, they changed their mind and reroute through kitchen. The action's now for kids to deal with. He finds the first one, cannot connect with the second. The support is there to clear out, flush out the middle of the map, get some scrap time, and force those spawns towards back art and garage as Elevate award themselves with some hill time. And we have a very, very close game after that lead change. Team 3G put themselves up by about 20 seconds. Team 3G have themselves up by about 20 seconds as Elevate pursue a lead change.
Elevate knew the second that they took down kids in middle, they were clear to go to push up and take control of this hardpoint site. And kids is once again looking to hopefully make a mess, but Denza shuts him down very quickly. But 3G, once again, early on rotation, Elevate. I need to see some commitment. Stop putting so much towards these last 10 seconds onto these scrap time hills. You need a full 60, and as soon as I say that, they prove me wrong as they get all the rotational kills off the hill on 3G. Fizz finds himself 2 streak, and now suddenly what should have been a good hold by 3G onto this first hill has turned its tides over to the side of Elevate.
That's right, and for Elevate, they know the laundry push is coming. Take a look at this pressure. Right around the corner on the van, he catches one off guard. Of course, being popped out of cover, he will fall shortly thereafter, and the laundry push from 3G it appears to have been completely successful. Not a whole lot going on the side of Elevate here as Denza kind of pops out and dies alone. So now it's going to be up to the remaining players here to fight through Art for the remaining 20 seconds of this hardpoint. We've seen how important that scrap time is to Elevate in this map so far.
It should not be that important to them, Fox, as they had finally caught up, and should they have just played and committed to this rotation, they could have seen probably a good 40 seconds all to themselves. But now we see Hixie trying to make his way through pool. He does find the pick onto Kid, so we're going to see the pressure from Elevate, but the first couple of seconds are still going to go on the side of Team 3G, so definitely still going to need to see a flip out of Elevate here if they want to put themselves in any sort of lead in this hard play.
Scary spot to be in. 3G held this kitchen down so well the first time around. We're seeing it a bit different in a setting, a bit of a different setting this time though, as we have a nearly tie game with the initial time going to 3G. They want to try and hold down middle map. Niall in a great spot on stairs to do just that. Keza has the back entrance, losing the gunfight to the submachine gun of Denza, who just smokes him off the chest high cover. Double kill as he follows up with his own Semtex. Still one more gun engagement to win, but Beans just went God mode. Huge triple kill to hold down defense in the remaining time of this hard point. But can you do it again? They're coming up off spawn. 3 are pouring in from tree, and they finally put out that fire.
Elevate, Elevate, Elevate. They committed so much, and by the time all the trades were going through, there was maybe 20 seconds left on that hard point. Not to mention Bean shutting down 3 of them on his own, flipping out the spawns for Team 3G to get favorable into Lambo. Elevate, you need at some point when it hits 25 seconds, I want to see you chalk it and rotate the basketball, because you are starting to give 3G too much of a lead as they are about to break the 200 points.
Hixie left in a 1v2. He will fall there. The last player in the hard point is going to leave Wee Man now up to push into the hard point alongside Kids. However, they weren't able, or Bids, excuse me, but they weren't able to make it happen. The remaining team coming up off spawn come through and support. We see Denza and Wee Man doing some damage. Still trailing by 30 seconds though. The scrap time was oh so important to them last time. They gave up the rotation basketball court. Decision making will be the same this time. Those 2 players are already set up for the rotation, but they will be outnumbered, outpositioned. It won't be an easy fight, that's for sure, Ali.
Huge win on the side of Wingman to get that kill on Kids to secure his team that last final 10 seconds on scrap time. And Denza and Hixie off spawn definitely tried to get on that early rotation, but lost the gunfight. So Team 3G once again getting that early hold into basketball court here as they break 200 points, 204 to 178. But Biz makes his way through the back. He finds 2. He's going to find a kill on Denial as well. That is 4 straight down for Team 3G, who are spawning all the way across the map in Lambo. They have quite the marathon to run to try and break this hill and elevate. I mean, they are going to be about 20-30 points from finishing this game if 3G allows all this time to go their way.
Just nuts. There was no better time for that 4-piece to come out. Hixie wants to get these score streaks and he's playing his life here. I wonder if they're keeping track of him. That they are. He does not decide to challenge, and Niall ends up waiting for his teammate to come through with the support of Kids. So very, very well coordinated situation right there because Bid was hot.
Wee Man just taking down that plant in the corner as Kid slides right by him, but he does end up finding that kill. And as he falls, I mean, again, early rotations on 3G. Elevate just need one full wipe here, and they could write this game off. Team 3G, you need to hold here, and you need to play perfect defense as Beans finds 1. He finds a kill onto Beans. That's 2 for him, but Denza and Hixie is there with 3 of their own. That's 3 down for 3G. They can't let this happen now. They're all off the spawn. Elevate's about to hit 230. 3G, you need a good wipe here. Number 8, that's going to be Beans. You need to wait for your teammates to make this push. Looks like he's going to do it. He gets taken down, though, and not in too early of a time. Kids, you have been playing lights out. Let's see if you can do it again. You cannot. Trades are going back and forth. Finally, 3G gets down. Time going inside of Elevate. Beans, you have to do something here and do something now. He finds 1, but again, Elevate coming out on top.
The trades from Elevate on this hill have been the best they've been all map long. They're holding it down so well to the point that only 5 seconds will separate them from victory. They could have won it on that hill, but the pressure from 3G kept them at bay. They constantly had questions to answer, and now the last one is on circle. 3 seconds away. They got to pour it in here. Keza from Pillars is able to support the team. Kids is going to hop onto the hard point. We have all of Elevate spawning out toward Garage. They just need 2 seconds, Ali. But Team 3G could win it here.
Elevate needs to play for each other. They need to wait here and wait for all the picks to come through because unfortunately they got a team kill on with that nade, and so the trades didn't go out in their favor. They have one push here. They need to shut down every player from 3G. The trades are going out now. These are the final kills. They need to shut down Kids as well. Hixie finds 3 to get the win for Elevate. I mean, and just like that, in mere milliseconds, Hixie finds a 3-piece. I can only hope we're about to watch it here now. I believe this was earlier in the game, but again, I mean, Hixie has just been lights out. He needed to match Kids, and that's exactly what he did. He actually finds the 4th on him here in mid. I mean, beautiful composure out of Elevate. 3G, they had it in the palm of their hands, but Elevate ended up to pull it out in the end. Sean, you watched it from the side. I gotta know, what was the win condition for Elevate?
It had to be the trades. I mean, Beans on the opposite end was having himself a game. The kid was dropping 30+ kills. He was stationed up in Spiral, so you're thinking, okay, they should be able to lock down this last hill. I mean, he was able to beam right into Courtyard, and it felt like no matter what the subs did for Elevate, they just weren't able to get close. But every single time we watched them on rotation, they were finding ways to get cheeky little trades, and especially pushing to Lambo on our last set of rotations. I mean, even that nade to pinch through the back and open up the site and allow for an extra challenge inside. I believe it was Hixie who got an opportunity to move in and just contest time. Small plays like that just keep elevating games, and you guys can see why they were open tournament champions just 2 weekends ago. The ability just to continually find trades on plays like that and keep the hard points alive. What more can you really say? It was just an impressive series all around, and that final hard point, you know, it looked like for a while it was going to be Beans and company that were just going to smoke their way through it. They were consistently, especially with Niall, consistently finding ways to grab that lead and hold on to it. But, you know, shout out to Elevate for the big comeback, but at the end of the day, a good matchup all around. 3G looked like a strong roster. Niall started slow, and I feel like he's starting to pick it up now in the start of this series. But Fox, talk to me a little bit again about Elevate's win here, and And you know, this is a team that came runners up last season, but they win the open event, and it shows that they've been working on the team game ever since. And you can tell that those trades that are just small communications that work out have been helping them to close out late games.
For sure. If you're Elevate, you are happy with every single player's individual performance throughout this series. You're definitely happy with how explosive all of them were at certain moments, but you have to pay special attention to Hixie. His multi-kills were just huge climactic moments that contributed to lead changes, that contributed to completely dictating the setup of the map and the positioning of all 8 players in the lobby. I mean, he was just a crucial pawn in the game that Elevate was playing.
Yeah, it seems like he's been an X factor for them. Ali, watching him on the map, what was he bringing to the team? As we take a look at the schedule for today, talk me through some of his contributions that helped them close out that hard point.
Well, when it comes to Hixie, I actually specifically have a note just for him that I don't have for many players, is that he loves to get behind enemy lines consistently. He is a very sneaky, slippery player, and if you aren't actively trying to find out where he is, 9 times out of 10, he's probably behind you and going to shoot you in the back. So that's definitely that type of player, not to mention he performs very well under pressure. That's something I've definitely seen a lot out of him, is when he's kind of pushed against a wall, that's where he typically shines. And I mean, Elevate, congratulations to them. I'm sure they're happy that they won, but I don't think this is a win that they're kind of walking away with like, yeah, good job, guys. Like, we played knockout.
Right.
Like, they definitely made some mistakes. I definitely expected a lot more out of Elevate, especially when I have seen them as such a good respawn team that was always on top of rotating, always on top of getting those rotational kills. And once they were set up in defense, they were almost unbreakable. And I feel like I didn't really see that Elevate in this series. So I definitely think, because that's not the Elevate that I saw, that they typically would have had a better win over 3G, a bit more comfortable of a win. But again, I don't want to take anything away from 3G. They were playing knockout, especially with the addition of kids. We saw superstar lights in all of them throughout this series. I think they just need to work a little bit more on consistency and not breaking down into the late game. So definitely great things out of both teams.
I think you raise a really fair, valid, and important point. These guys were definitely winning these maps more off of individual prowess than it was a full team commitment to certain plans and executions, right? I mean, what are your thoughts to your space?
Yeah, I mean, you know, a win is a win if you're Elevate, but certainly much more that boils down to just needing to work on some of the fundamentals, sure. And we understand that today was a bit of a hectic day, and that means we need to take a look at the schedule and figure out what the rest of it will actually be, because we have North America coming up next. And that's going to be one of the interesting things, because a couple of team changes have actually happened. So this was the final match for Europe. We had to take one off the docket given the situation. So Elevate just watched the conclusion of their series. They take down 3G 3-1. Pretty good start for them. Coming up is North America, Fantastic Four versus Triumph, and Easter versus TMNT. That's Parasite Squad. But for Fantastic Four, while you guys were commentating the match, a quick update. We don't know what the situation is. All we know is that the word that got out and that was told to us is that Dev Patty has decided he's going to step down for the time being. And it's not a retirement, but he's going to take some time away from the game. With that said, Fire will come in and fill his spot on Fantastic Four. There were some nervous vibes around Fantastic Four because Dev Patty steps down and Methods and Slack were saying we don't know what's going to happen. So then I believe it was on Methods or Slack stream, one of the two. They basically said, okay, Fire's going to come in and be our fourth. So guys, with that information, with that in mind, Fox, starting with you, Dev Patty steps down. Fire comes in to fill his spot. Fire, who had a pretty good showing in the CDL, but he eventually gets dropped. Now he comes down here. Does this late day edition do anything to Fantastic Four? Are we talking about them now having issues with just chemistry and communication, or is it just a simple no, there's good enough talent on that team to get it done?
I think you lose a substantial amount of firepower with Dev Patty stepping down. I mean, this guy was disgusting with the QBZ. He probably brought us the most, a great majority of the percentage of kills and impressive moments with the QBZ that we've seen in its short stint in competitive play here. So I'm curious to see how this affects their team composition. He was a very strong main AR player, and he's got, those are some tough shoes to fill.
Ali, with the Dev Patty gone, Decimate is the last remaining member of this Season 2 championship roster. Slack and Methods are new. You lost Sib, you lost Draza, and now you lose Dav. Or what do you do? I mean, for Decimate, do you think this is going to have to be basically a rebuilding ground for him? Because he's lost 3 of the 4 players that helped him get a chip.
I feel like this is something that happens to Decimate quite often. You know, he's constantly put in a situation where it's, you know, very unfavorable for him. When I saw that roster, you know, I mean, they were very solid across the board. I watched some of their scrims. They seemed to get along incredibly well. And losing to Petty, I mean, that's a huge blow. I mean, he is one of the most notable players thus far in our Elite Series. So, and not to mention right before they're going to have to be playing, I mean, to make a roster change that soon and that quick, I feel like we're definitely possibly going to see a bit of a fall behind, because I don't think it's a replacing of skill. I don't think it's putting Fire in for Dave Patty is because I believe Fire is better than Dave Patty. I mean, like I said, he's one of the most notable players thus far. So I definitely think, if anything, it's going to create a lot of chaotic stuff on the map. And I don't think we're going to see the team we expected to see when they come out to play.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this new roster looks, and we wish Fire the best of luck. But for now, we're going to throw it to our commercial break, an extended one at that, and that means the conclusion of Europe. When we come back later tonight at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 Eastern, we will start off the end of Day 2 of the Challengers Elite Series for Season 3 with North America. We will conclude Week 1 later tonight, and some decent and interesting roster changes will be at the top of the tongue. Everything else will just have to fall where it may. We will see you guys then, and make sure you stay tuned.